Howdy, it's Jim Arado. This is December 2021. We're in the Slade, Kentucky area, kind of driving away from the Natural Bridge State Park area, which is just maybe a few miles behind us at this point. Yeah, I just wanted to put up well, this isn't too short of a video. I actually filmed probably a couple of hours on this day. I really enjoyed just this scenic drive we took around the Red River Gorge area. Actually, it's the Red River Scenic Byway, or Highway 77, is pretty much what we were on most of this day. Not the entire time, but they gave us a little map at the Hemlock Lodge, and we decided just to go drive around and do that. This, it probably takes about an hour and a half if you take your time, make a couple of stops. We did it in about an hour and a half. We went slow, stopped a couple of times. There are a ton of places to stop and get a nice scenic look. And if you stop a lot, I mean, you could definitely spend many hours on this route. But yeah, we enjoyed it quite a bit, and I just thought I'd put a little bit of it up for you to check out. I've talked about Natural Bridge quite a bit, and that this area has kind of an interesting relationship. You've got the Natural Bridge State Park with Hemlock Lodge, and there are many hiking trails in that area, and then really connected to it, almost part of it really, is the Red River Gorge area, which is a whole separate thing. But when I think of this area, I mean, I think of both of those places together in my mind. I've been coming down to this area for decades now. I hate to admit that, and to me, it really hasn't changed much. It's stayed pretty consistently small and rural. There are some fun businesses here that I like a lot, but a whole lot more have not been added. It's definitely not ballooned, like I don't want to compare it to Gatlinburg or anything like that. I do have a buddy who believes this area could become a Gatlinburg. I disagree with him, though. I don't. Gatlinburg is kind of on your way to a bunch of different places, so I think he's wrong. But yeah, it's not ballooned up like Gatlinburg. There are cabins, nice cabins you can get here. Sorry about that camera work a moment ago. But yeah, you can see it's just nice rural driving. We're kind of in some, still people living around here. We'll get a little more secluded here momentarily. But yeah, I don't. There's nice scenery here. It's very, very nice, like the Great Smoky Mountains. But I just I think and hope it does not get you know out of control like a Gatlinburg. But yeah, it's here. It's nice, and we come down quite a bit. If you've watched any of my other videos, I've probably mentioned before I asked my wife to marry me on Natural Bridge, so it's a very special place for us. We used to go out there in college a lot. Going to Berea, it wasn't that far to come down here. And some of the businesses I remember, the buildings are there, and there's different businesses in them. But, it's still pretty much consistently just a few little businesses on your way, to Hemlock Lodge. There's the old reptile museum zoo place. I believe that's where Daniel Boone Coffee is now. I might be wrong, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know for sure, let me know. I remember there used to be a business that sold lots of Christmas ornaments and things like that. And I can't remember what happened to that business. There's a store or two that are still there that I still remember that seem to be the same stores, but for the most part, yeah, just a lot has not changed. Miguel's Pizza, of course, is still there. Yeah, anyway, driving out, kind of getting into a little more of a scenic area. I don't know about you, but I really enjoy this. This is what I live for right here, just driving around yeah, out somewhere, especially somewhere rural, and just enjoying driving and seeing what's there. I like this a lot. My dad used to do this a lot too. He and I would do this together. My late father-in-law, he was really into just going out and driving, and we would do this quite a bit. It wasn't uncommon just to, hop in my dad's old pickup truck and just go and just see what was around. I grew up in western Kentucky, and we would drive around, Calhoun, Muhlenberg County, a lot of smaller towns. Greenville, Kentucky was one of a favorite. We might go somewhere that we knew, and then we would just kind of mosey on off the road, not off the road, but off the main roads, and that was a lot of fun. And speaking of Gatlinburg and the Great Smoky Mountains, this drive reminds me a little bit of driving around the Great Smoky Mountains when you get out and you're just driving in it. Also reminded us some, especially coming up on the Nata Tunnel here in a moment, it reminded us some of driving around South Dakota. And I've put videos up of both of those things. Feel free to check that out. And again, I taped for a couple of hours this day, and I honestly thought about trying to put that all of that up on YouTube, but I thought, yeah, that might get a little boring after a while. But I thought I'll put a partial bit of our drive up, just in case, like me, you enjoy watching the road in front of you in a nice area like this. Yeah, and here we go. We're coming up on the tunnel. And check that out. I pulled over for a moment. I'll talk a little bit more about this. Yeah, let that fellow go on around me. This tunnel is it's big enough for one vehicle to go through, so you kind of have to stop and notice if another vehicle is coming through the tunnel. I believe this tunnel was built in the early 1900s, and it's just pretty darn cool. And I wanted to get a good shot of it. I think I stopped and took a couple of pictures. And you'll have to forgive me, it was a bit of a rainy day, so I do have my windshield wipers on here in a bit. Yeah. Oh, and I think we got some water on us, kind of dropping off the mountain. This got a little confusing here because I'm going in, and then I got a little scared because I could see somebody else's headlights coming towards me. I was pretty sure I had come through the tunnel first, but then I started thinking, well, maybe I didn't. And I thought he was coming at me, so I was about to start trying to back up. Thank God for backup cameras. But then I realized, no, it was just kind of an optical illusion. He was just waiting down here, I believe, waiting for me to come out. He might have pulled up just to see if anybody was in the tunnel like I did a moment ago. It's kind of a scary and exciting experience going through a tunnel like this. There's some bragging rights associated with it. I know it's not, it's not like going through the head of a needle or anything like that, but it's unique. It's something to say you've done. And then we're pulling out. And there's a couple cars waiting for us. And I know I've read somewhere, maybe it was online, I can't remember if it was in a book. I know there's some ghost stories associated with the tunnel. If you know any ghost stories associated with that tunnel, let me know. I'd like to hear them. Speaking of which, wanted to mention a couple of books that I've picked up that note a little bit on this area. And there's, there's not a lot of books out there on the Gorge and on Natural Bridge in Kentucky, which I guess is understandable. It's not like it's, it's not like it's the Great Smoky Mountains. It's not a hugely popular international tourist destination, but it's still unique and fascinating, and it definitely attracts people. But there's not a lot of books out there on it. If you know of some, let me know. But I'm going to mention a couple that I've found and that I know a little bit about. I wanted to briefly mention Ghost Hunting Kentucky by Patty Starr. If you know Patty Starr, she used to host and put on the Scarefest here in Lexington. And you've seen her around. She I don't know if she still does or not. She used to do the Ghost Walk around Halloween down in Bardstown. A really sweet lady. If you've ever sat and talked to her, she's just a very pleasant, fun person. And she wrote this book, Ghost Hunting Kentucky. Mentions one of my favorite places, Boone Tavern Hotel in Berea. But there's also a brief section about the State Park Lodge at Natural Bridge. And there's a ghost, the purple lady. There's a ghost of a lady wearing a purple dress, I believe, that's been seen around the lodge and around the Natural Bridge area. I just thought I'd mention that. Also, and I picked these up recently, there's Tales of the Red River Gorge by Don F. Figg, and So That Others Might Live, Search and Rescue in the Red River Gorge, also by Don F. Figg. And I found one of these books a month or two ago while we were at the Gorge Underground, their gift shop, which is only a mile or two from the Hemlock Lodge. Both books are $25 each, which that's a little steep. But let me encourage you to buy them anyway, because they're very interesting books. And they're actually reprints of books that Mr. Figg put out, I guess some time ago, maybe in the early 2000s. And Mr. Figg passed away, I think, a year or two ago. And they reprinted these books. So they've been reprinted. The little sign next to them said that money from the sale of these books goes to search and rescue, helping search and rescue in the Red River Gorge. So, even at $25 each, I didn't mind paying that because money's going to charity there and a good cause. And these are cool books. And if... as for me, I collect books. I am big on books. I'm big on obscure books. First editions of classics do not excite me. Obscure reprints of books about the Red River Gorge, yes, I get excited about that. Yeah, and again, there's not a whole lot out there on the Red River Gorge, so I'm thrilled to have both of these books in my collection. And again, I encourage you to pick these up if you're interested in the Red River Gorge. Again, the Gorge Underground, the boat tour people, the kayak people, they sell them at their place along with really cool stickers, postcards, t-shirts. Also, Daniel Boone Coffee, the Daniel Boone Coffee Shop, they have copies. I like what they're doing a lot too. They're another little independent business. They're at the Red River Gorge. In fact, I'm going to put up videos about both of those businesses if I haven't already, because I like what they're both doing. But the Daniel Boone Coffee Shop also had copies of these two books. And I searched online. I was trying to see if I could find original copies of them. I can't. So it must have been kind of a DIY thing that Mr. Figg put out and did not sell many copies originally, but I'm glad they're being reprinted. He repeats himself a couple of times in the books. There's some grammatical issues, but who cares? He's writing some good stories from the heart, and I would expect that sort of thing in these books. But I wanted to mention that I enjoyed reading both of these books just straight through. But I'm going to keep them on my bookshelf too as good reference books for when I'm down here. The Tales of the Red River Gorge is the bigger volume of the two, and he just gives a lot of facts about the gorge, about logging and mining and that kind of stuff, and so just some of the colorful characters who've lived in that area. He gets into the petroglyphs and also the tunnel, the building of the tunnel in that book. And so, some of the stuff is kind of dry reading. He's talking about this guy lived here, that guy lived there, but it's kind kind of word of mouth information that if he did not record it, it might not have been recorded ever. So I'm grateful for these books. So That Others Might Live, the search and rescue book, is a smaller book, but he kind of gets into statistics and information about accidents at the gorge. He gives some stories about some search and rescue attempts, a few fun stories. I would have liked to have read more of the search and rescue stories, but there's definitely statistics in here, and he talks about, how it affects the family of the search and rescue team members doing search and rescue, and how you do put yourself in danger doing search and rescue. I'd love to see more books like this. I'd like to see more books like both of these. But I wanted to mention both of those. I know Don talks a lot about the petroglyphs and how, thanks to vandalism and kind of careless people out in the gorge, some of those petroglyphs have been destroyed, altered, and really lost. He mentioned specifically somebody starting a fire on top of one of the petroglyphs, probably thoughtlessly, and basically destroying it. He gives some great search and rescue stories. He talks about rescuing some dogs at times, which I think is very sweet. And he also mentions some moments that he's done some search and rescue. He gives a specific story about rescuing a dog. The whole time the dog's owner is yelling at him, "Do not hurt my dog." And then once he saves the life of the dog owner basically wanders off without a thank you. So it's a very thankless job at times. He also gives a very touching story about a young lady who he rescues who's injured. And she's trying to hold his hand, and he's so obsessed with, trying to get her immediate care that he sort of neglects the human part of the job. It's a sad story, and it has a bit of a sad ending. I don't want to ruin it, but again, just a very, very human story, and I appreciated that quite a bit. And he talks a little bit about the tunnel that we just went through a moment ago and how it was built, and he records, basically doing interviews with old timers in the area. He records a few of the injuries that occurred while that tunnel was being built, including, I believe, a couple of fatalities. One of them involving someone trying to thaw out dynamite by a fire. So, yeah. Anyway, those are two good books. If you know anything about Don Figg, let me know, because what a fascinating fella. I'm glad he put these books out, and I would love to see more of this sort of thing, especially relating to the Red River Gorge area. And I would be interested in more statistics on the injuries and deaths that occur here. Not to sound morbid, but I have read some of the books, the deaths at the Grand Canyon book, and some of that stuff. And, well, kind of like the Grand Canyon, of course, out in this area, you do have people who are injured and die, from falling off of cliffs, rock climbing, that kind of thing. And a lot of it is not being prepared for their situation. And anyway, I'm just always fascinated by how that stuff happens. I'm just curious if they I know, like at Niagara Falls, I believe the Brooklyn Bridge, they're careful about not releasing those statistics, as to not encourage, people to jump or to fall or any of that. But it's just always a curiosity to me. I do recall over at Natural Bridge years ago, I remember being at one of their gift shops, and somebody had taken a picture of a bear as they were going up the sky lift. And I wonder, it seems like, was it a year or two ago, somebody got into a little bit of a fight with a bear in this area too, if I remember correctly. I can't remember how that played out, but I remember hearing about it. And I also, it seems that maybe a decade ago, a little over a decade, I remember there was a bit of a, at the Hemlock Lodge, I remember hearing about a robbery that occurred during the night, and I think the front desk person might have been tied up or something. I'm not sure what happened there, but I remember hearing about that. Anybody? And I was trying to Google that the other day, and I couldn't find anything. If you know what happened there, let me know. If you know how that turned out, I'm just curious. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying the scenery there. Kind of pretty. Again, we're in the winter. You know, it's not like you've got the wonderful fall time. I probably should do this trip again in the fall. But I still thought it was really pretty the way the ground and the leaves have a bit of a red look at the moment. Oh, also, while I'm thinking about it, I think in the Tales of the Red River Gorge book, Don gives a little history on the original Coon Creek Girls that were active from the 1930s to the 1950s. Kind of an Appalachian string band type folk group. And Lily Mae Ledford, I believe the main member, was from this area. I just thought that was pretty neat. So he gives a lot of that kind of history in his book. Of course, the name Daniel Boone is brought up. Not a lot, though. And the whole Jonathan Swift legend is brought up. Yeah, briefly. And that's, I've read up on that. I know a little bit about it, but I think the whole story is so vague and so non-specific. But it's kind of neat that there's that tie into this area. We've done recently, and again, like I said, I'll put up videos. I know we did the underground gorge boat ride recently, and that was fun. It was $50 a person to do it, I believe, and it's about a 1 hour boat ride through an old flooded mine, which is a fairly unique experience. I did put up a video some time ago of the sky lift, if you want to check that out. I haven't actually hiked a whole lot through here recently, though. I probably need to do that again. Have you been through here, though? Have you done rock climbing through here? It's something I have no interest in doing myself. I don't think I could do it. But if you've got some interesting stories, I'd sure love to hear them, especially about rock climbing or hiking. Have you seen a bear through here? I would love to hear that. Have you seen Bigfoot? I'd love to hear that. I would really love to hear about that. Or if you know any good ghost stories or anything, I'd love to hear about that too. And yeah, probably one of my favorite places to come in Kentucky. I like Mammoth Cave quite a bit too, though. That's probably my favorite. That's a national park. It's not a state park, but I guess this is still one of my favorite places to just get to and to drive around in the state. What's your favorite state park in Kentucky, though? I'd like to hear from other people about their favorite state parks, their favorite scenic drives, and just their favorite places in Kentucky. I like the Cumberland Gap area too, though. That kind of bleeds over into other states too, but always a fun drive. Anyway, I'll start wrapping this up. I just wanted to put up a bit of video about our drive. Oh yeah, we went by the National Forest Visitor Center. It was closed, obviously. I'm not sure if it's closed for the season or if it's been closed, because of the way the world is at the moment. We swung by real quick and continued on our way. But yeah, that was just driving around the scenic route at the Red River Gorge. Again, I'd love to hear from other people who have some interesting stories or suggestions about this area. We've actually gone down here a couple of times recently and plan on going again. I think we forgot how much we enjoyed just being here. So I'll probably be putting some more videos up about it in the near future. But yeah, thanks.